So welcome to the big Premiership show, round 7. Some really interesting matches here, some big movement in the table. We're going to get into it in a minute. Sorry I couldn't get the Ireland-Australia game review out. I missed that one because I was live at Bath versus Exeter, just for fun in the crowd, with the wife, with some friends. It was a good day out, not a great game, but still enjoyed it. But there were some absolute crackers here. I mean, look at these results. Harlequins at home getting turned over big time by Bristol Bears. Some amazing tries in that game, as you would expect with those two sides who always come to play. And then probably the score of the round, the result of the round, that's another win, a second win for Newcastle Falcons. They had all their big players in the team and they absolutely put their hearts into this one. Some really good tries as well. Were too much for Saracens in the end. Saracens had a good go, but they just couldn't get through. Massive result, lifts them off the bottom of the table. Then Northampton Saints had a bit of a comeback in the second half, but couldn't get it done against a good defence in that second half from Gloucester, and they opened up in the first half. So that's another good away win there. Then we've got Bath, the game I went to, 1915. Bath, they got it done. They weren't great, got a load of yellow cards, but Exeter, just not enough firepower. Another loss. They haven't won a single game and they are now rock bottom, although they are still picking up a few bonus points. And then Sale Sharks, a really good second half performance there. Scored some good tries. Too good for Leicester. Home to Sale, so nice win for Sale, giving them a little kickstart after a bit of a disappointing start to the Premiership. Leicester just falling off a tiny bit, but they're still a decent side. So there is the table as we see it. We have Bath, the only team with 6 wins out of 7 on 29, but Bristol with all those bonus points, they're there with them moving up the table. Leicester dropping down but still in the top 4. Gloucester moving up, Sale moving up into contention, and then at the bottom there we see Newcastle moving up 1 and Harlequins and Northampton starting to fall down, and Exeter now rock bottom. So it's really getting an interesting fight right at the bottom and right at the top, and then a middle bunch. So just before we get into the review, something you might be interested in, I was going to do a testosterone test anyway because I'm into my health and science as by training, as by my job. So I was going to do one of these testosterone tests. Manual had 38% off for new customers. I got talking to them and they said, look, we'll give you an affiliate code for 45% off, so a little bit more. RugbyAnalyst 45 on checkout, or I've put in the link below, a link that takes you straight into that 45% discount. And I was showing to my friends and colleagues and loads of them wanted to do it, so I thought, fine, let's go for it. The test came the next day. I'm going to do that. So if you were interested in getting your testosterone levels checked, use that code, use that link, get a little bit more money off. That would be awesome. Anyway, let's get into these reviews. So the weekend starts with an absolute belter. Harlequins 24, Bristol 48. I'm going to go through these games, pick up some of the highlights, definitely talk about some of the players, especially looking ahead to England in the Six Nations. I will timestamp them down below if you want to skip around, but you probably want to stay for the whole lot, I'm sure. Anyway, let's get into this big old review. Bristol in this game, they continue to prove that if you practice fast-paced running game with loads of offloading, if you do it well enough, you can still beat good teams like Harlequins away from home. So it's just such a great message out there, and more teams are doing it. We see Gloucester doing it. We see Harlequins trying to do it, but Bristol just do it better. Must be amazing to support Bristol at the moment. Just so much excitement. Always some heart-in-mouth times, and I think one of the reasons why it's so high scoring, not just the way they're trying to play, it's just the fact the ball in play time is so high, the fatigue is massive for both sides, so they're going to score a load and they're going to concede a load, and normally they score more, and that's pretty much how it was. The first try though going to Harlequins, moving the ball around, Northmore, Beard moving it lovely, Porter playing well I thought, and Dombrandt thrives in that sort of situation, scoring out wide for the first try, although I would say some of the Harlequins forwards are not suited to this game. Big Joe Launchbury in the second row just can't move that well anymore. You've got guys like Herbst, Levis, they're not the best, and I think Bristol have forwards more suited to this game, but we'll get more into that. I mean, Marler, Kerrod, they don't play this game very well, but the backs certainly do. A good try there for Dombrandt, and then a counter-attack from O'Gray. He was waiting to support left before working the ball full width back to the right. So after 30 minutes, we have 2 great tries. Rivalvo for that second one there. So what a great start. And on about 15 minutes, the Quins forward, some of them, they look knackered already. Even Will Evans can't recover in time. And Porter's left a bit exposed in a small blind, but it's brilliant work from Marmion. Super sharp, he was in for Randall, who's being rest. And Hibbett, And him and Ibitoy work some absolute magic, that's for sure. But then Marmion turns hero to villain as Murley's turn to go the length with a really good intercept off Marmion's pass. And then Northmour has a go at jackling and finishing from range. Amazing stuff. Joe Marler asks a funny question to the ref. Is he allowed to take his shirt off and celebrate and not get a yellow card if he scores? I don't think there was much danger of that in this game. It is not his type of game. But anyway, in 38 minutes, it's 17-14. And let's talk about a Bristol player that really impressed. The regular, Joe Batley, the second row, so good at offloading, so quick, got into the England A's. His replacement, Joe Owen, who is English qualified, he looks like an absolute clone of Batley. Amazing stuff for him, amazing breaks as well. He makes a mess of the line-out and he breaks down the wing at pace, or someone else makes the mess of the line-out, I should say, and Owen breaks down the wing at pace, inside to Ibitoy to score another. So amazing stuff. These Bristol players just coming in, knowing exactly what's required of them, having practiced it. Owen had a storming game and he would definitely be on the England watch list for me there. Then an obvious yellow card for Kerrod as they can't get back in time off another break from Bristol. And then an amazing tap penalty move. Now, all teams are trying to do something clever off tap penalties, but maybe not as good as this. Harry Thacker is on for O'Grey, and he's just as good at moving the ball, if not better, to be honest. Quinn's getting a run off their feet, giving away penalties. I mean, there's two sides who like to play at pace, but again, Bristol just doing it better. On 52 minutes, it looks like Quinn's just trying to slow it down a touch. Box kick, but that offload from Bristol out of the tackle was too good. They can't get man and ball. Then amazing work down the right. Van Rensburg does a 1-2 with Bates for another beauty. So 17-38, and Quinn's just can't stop them. They're too disjointed in defence. The tackling, like I said, isn't getting man and ball. Let's talk about Bill Matter for Bristol. What an amazing signing for this season. His power and offloading just suits the team so well, shredding Quins. And Bristol once again, great hands out to the left, finding Joe Owen again, 2-on-1, puts in Grondona for an amazing score. So with 20 minutes to go, it's 17-45, the game is absolutely gone. There's one more try there, created by young hooker Nathan Jabulu for Harlequins, definitely more suited to the fast running style than I think Jack Walker is these days. Tyrone Green gathers a rather fortuitous lucky break bouncing ball, but it doesn't make much difference. 24-48. Loads of players here who could easily be international class if Borthwick ever decides to play like this. O'Grey, Ibitoy, Murley, Northmour, and surely Van Rensburg, when he finally becomes England eligible, have to be in. And like I said, Owen was amazing as well. Then on to the result of the round. Newcastle 17, Saracens 12. Saracens nearly came back at the end, but Newcastle held firm. They scored some good tries as well. A massive improvement in their performance, getting them off the foot of the table. But first of all, it was Saracens showing their hand. Theo Dan getting a start because Jamie George had played all of the autumn series, really. He has unbelievable pace for a hooker, great acceleration. Not the biggest, but he burst through off a Reece Carey tip on. That was good. And Elliott, the young winger, just about keeps up with him to score. So great start for Saracens. And you're thinking, oh dear, is this going to be trouble for Newcastle? A little note I made here. Because refs are picking up on these blocking lines, we are seeing more footballer-like dives. It's going to happen as players are just running into players in the way, falling over and appealing. And it's going to get that way, I think. In all professional sports, there's going to be that sort of play acting, I guess. We don't want to see it, but with this new interpretation of the law, I think we're going to see more of it. Let me know what you think there if you've spotted it. 21 minutes in, the Newcastle attack is looking good now. I thought Van Veek was looking really good in the second half, very powerful. Wing Alex Hurl had a good game. He hits a sick line from out to win, catching the Saracens defenders ball watching, and he flies under the post for their first try, a really good one. Line-out problems for Theo Dan on 25 minutes, and his opposite number, Jamie Blamire, is looking like a real athlete as he swallows it up and carries a couple of times, winning a penalty. I think Sarri's already on 6 penalties at that 25-minute mark. Brett Cunnan takes the 3 points, but a simply awful kick from close to the post. I think he's trying to batter it through the wind, to be fair, but he should have got that one. Anyway, 32 minutes. The breakdown battle is being won by Newcastle. That was massive. Sarries are giving away penalty after penalty. Blamire again winning those penalties. He's like an extra flanker. And you guys said in the comments he is moving. I think it's to Leicester next season. He could be back in the England running because he's looking like the perfect hooker. He's probably got the best athletic build of all our hookers. And if he plays like this, even for Newcastle, he's got to get back into the England fold. He's looking so good there. Anyway, an almost perfect backline play scores the Falcons' next try. It's a cracker. Big 12 Arnold, who can smash the ball up, he can jackal, but he's got a good pass on him as well. He's a key player from them. Passes from deep to Conan, and his pass goes wide, gets around the edge, and the flying Adam Radwan does the rest. So that was a class backs move there. Conan makes up for the missed penalty with a lovely conversion out wide. So that's 17-5 on 32 minutes. Just before the half-time break, some nice offloading from Sarries. McFarlane was always dangerous with his athletic ability to get the ball away. Him and Gonzalez, they look dangerous in attack, but good vital scramble defence from Newcastle hold out. So it's those sorts of actions that won the game, where they just hold on at the vital times. Anyway, in the second half, as the rain lashes down, Newcastle actually don't score another point. But then the Saracens' execution isn't good enough either. Their skills in the rain was breaking down. Kicking was going a bit awry. Fergus Burke slices one badly into touch from a clearance kick. Actually here the Falcons should score, but Jamie Blamar just overruns a line and obstructs, so they could have been one further ahead there. Then one of Newcastle's standout players, the flanker Tommy Gordon, I think he's a Scottish player, rips the ball off Gonzalez, and the Falcons nearly go the length of the pitch. But Shagan, great work to come back and get a saving jackal. So yeah, Newcastle deserved the win, and maybe they would have been out of sight at this point. But they have to hang on a little bit, but that defence has improved from the beginning of the season. McFarlane getting his offloads away, but they're covering those supporting lines as well. Then with a few minutes to go, a huge moment as McFarlane finally gets the offload to work. They break from deep. Burke prods an excellent grubber for Parson to regather, but then brilliant scramble back from Hurl from Radwan saves the game once again. The dam does finally break. And it's the Sarri star man, of course, Theo McFarland, who slips the ball in contact to the power unit, Tom Willis, who batters over the line, but it's too late. So amazing defending, some great tries as well, brilliant hunger, and that's got them the deserved win and off the bottom of the table. So great day for them. Then on to Northampton 17, Gloucester 25. A good old game of two halves here. Gloucester start like a train. Perfect offloading team try. They are kind of Bristol Mark II. They'd hate me saying that, but that's the way they try and play. Crisp handling wide left. Hutchinson, Hendy cannot deal with it. Finsmith's off early as well, so not a good start. But George Furbank shows why he's actually a good option at 10 as he comes back with a try of his own, creating havoc. He puts Hutchinson into space wide left and then complete opportunist spots a space behind and grubbers a mini little kick to regather and score. There's no one in behind, so a try apiece after 5 minutes. Brilliant start. George Hendy makes up for the first try by smashing Ollie Thorley as he goes for the line. Then Saints survive again as they chase back an interception, and Hendy clobbers Carreras this time, dislodging the ball. But Saints can't stop the third attack as Tom James telegraphs a pass and Freddie Thomas picks it off and Mercer supports to finish. So great try there on 24 minutes. It's 7-12. The Gloucester speed of ball movement in the first half is really good, and on a turnover they move it really nicely away from a Hutchinson mistake as he tries to get a pass away, and it's too good as Carreras feeds wide. The slow Saints forwards can't get there. Wade, amazing footwork on Ollie Slightholme. It's a tricky defensive position, but again, Slightholme is under the microscope defensively, certainly by me. Many of you guys saying his defence isn't good enough, and well, Wade's very good, but definitely made him look a bit silly there. Anyway, so that's 7-19, and more bad news as Hendy has to go off, so not looking good for Northampton in this first half. And just before half-time, it looks like Wade and Carreras have another one, combining in a tight space so well, but the try was pulled back for an earlier knock-on. If it had been a try, you'd say Slightholme again, doing little defensively, marking no one, seems to struggle a bit instinctively of who to mark, how to read a situation. Let me know if you agree, but not the best look for him in that first half. Saints, though, just before the end, they can't even clear the ball, and then tight head prop Fazabon gets a good jackal, and the lead extends to 7-22 at half-time, so great half for Gloucester. But I will chuck another name out there for the England watch list. Young Tom Litchfield is a big outside centre, and he had moved on to the wing, and he looked pretty decent, so always hungry for work. I think he could be one to get in that mix at some point. Commenters have mentioned him before, and I think you're right. He definitely has the size, the speed, the skill, so why not? Anyway, 44 minutes, Gloucester fumble a line out, Saints much higher energy after the break, they came out really pumping, and back rowers Pearson, Augusta, they really upped the pace onto the carry, really good go forward carries, a good pick and go from Augustus through the middle, and they freed Tom James, who hands off Mercer easily, goes too high sometimes, that is true. Then the quick pick and go, upping the danger of that Saints forward play. And more good news is Alex Mitchell comes on for his long-awaited return from injury, had a troublesome neck. And then we have a long period of try-line pressure from Saints, lots of penalties, and eventually it pays off as that explosive Augustus blasts straight through Clark and Llewellyn. Really impressive start there for Augustus and the Saints forwards. But they're losing Augustus as well, aren't they, next season? So if you look back on it, that was their starting back row. Laws has gone, Ludlam's gone, now Augustus will go. They're going to have to start again. They've got some good players in Pollock and Pearson, so they can rebuild, but that is a blow, and it's taken them a while, I think, to adapt to that. Anyway, Augustus, it's his show at this moment. That offloading out the tackle goes to a flying slide home, who goes for an amazing acrobatic dive, but probably actually dives too high as he can't ground the ball. So nearly amazing, but not quite. And that kind of is the story for Northampton as they get really back into this game. But it's still 14:22 with half an hour to go. So plenty of time. They've come to life. It looks like they are destined to complete the comeback. A killer break from Furbank, who had a really good game after a disappointing autumn series with England, it has to be said. Good cover tackle from Freddie Thomas there, getting back quickly, and Alex Coles can't keep it moving, so Gloucester stopped from conceding there. 68 minutes, it's all Saints in the second half. The snipes of Alex Mitchell are starting to make a difference. Really missed that for Saints and for England. And his break and offload looks like it's gone to Litchfield wide right to score, but it was ruled out. Maybe it was forward, I don't know, but it was pretty tight. So Northampton could easily have come back and won this game. Like I said, game of two halves. Gloucester hold on to get a great away win, but yeah, good battle there, 17-25. Then on to Bath 19, Exeter 15. This was the one I watched live. Sure, I had a couple of drinks before the game, but I think I remember it fairly well. Mainly about how the players look live. I'm going to be missing some of the tactical things because I didn't watch it on the TV, and I didn't want to. I wanted just to say what I felt watching it live. Exeter, they're rock bottom, and they look very short on talent, basically. They've got a lot of young, hungry players, but they're not of the same quality of a team like Bath. So even when Bath play badly, which they did, they picked up yellow cards, they still win, and they still look fairly dominant, to be honest. But yeah, a losing bonus point just keeps them in touch, but they need that win bad. Bath definitely have a stronger bench. They roll on players like Alfie Barbary. He had to go back off, but he made a big dent straight away. Cam Redpath, a class centre, to come on in the backs for Will Butt. So definitely better strength, that is for sure. The Bath scrum, very strong. Plenty of penalties on top all day, particularly Thomas Dutoy, who is worth being a starter for South Africa. He may be soon anyway. And he absolutely monstered that scrum, stayed on for most of the game. Will Stewart had a good scrummaging day as well, so they're a strong pair. But then the yellow card to Ted Hill in the first half didn't help. When Mile scored, it looked like they were going to kick on, but then Ben Spencer got a yellow card. So they stunted their momentum, but still, I felt they were the stronger team all the way through. Now, it has to be said, Bath's tactics weren't that ambitious. They go for the high box kick a lot, but they've got a good chase, and Will Muir was the pick of the bunch on the wingers in the chase, getting loads of tap backs and Bath hoovering up ball again and again. Guy Pepper gets the first try and man of the match, and he looked really good. A nice flowing move for that try there. Physically, he looks the perfect build for 7. He's got the energy of youth all over the park. Definitely going to be England squads very soon, maybe. In the Six Nations, we will see. But yeah, not many standouts on the day, but he definitely looked class up front and personal. Definitely can tell the difference. Let's talk about another England player, watching him play very carefully, Ollie Lawrence. Is he an international 13? Well, yeah, and he's improved his tackling. He made one big line break, but the thing he does sometimes is lose the ball in contact or throw it away when he's made all the good yards, and he did that one on that break, which kind of sums him up. And then he's quick, but not that quick. And Josh Hodge showed him up a bit, just taking him around the outside, which, yeah, it sounds tough, but as a 13, you've got to be able to drift, and you probably should make that tackle. I think Ringrose or Hugh Jones probably would. So I'm really measuring him against a high level because Lawrence wants to be one of the best, wants to be considered for a Lions place, but just think he's a little bit short at times. Anyway, Hodge, we saw his attack a few times, class act in attack, just a pace to burn, but he didn't get in the match that much. Also, I was looking for some of Bath's weak areas. At hooker, you've got Dunn, you've got Annette, who are solid club players, but they're not really international quality. Charlie Alls and Quinn Rue are big lumps in the second row. I wouldn't say they're stellar athletes or anything, but they know what they're doing. Watching Quinn Rue, he's a good cheater, and that's a good thing because all players try and do it. He was kind of spinning around in the ruck, bumping into the 9, just being a real nuisance. Some clever stuff from those two. I thought that was pretty tidy play, but yeah, they're not absolute international athletes, but they're solid and they do a good job in this pack. Exeter, yeah, they're low on top-end talent, definitely. There's a lot of young guys there. They're going to get better, but not particularly special. Who stood out to me? Well, Fizzalau at 8, I thought has got some real explosion off the base. He was impressive, much more dynamic than the rest. They could have done with starting Ross Vincent, who I think is a class act as well. I do not think they have the depth to keep their best players on the bench if they're fit to go. To be fair to Henry Slade, he had to step in at fly half and look really at home. His kicking to touch was fantastic, definitely better than many in the Premiership, better than Marcus Smith, I would say. He was getting it right into the corner with his left foot. And that's not really a surprise because he is actually a 10, and I think he won the World Championship with the under-20s for England at 10, kicking goals. I think he was going to be, the 10 for Exeter, or thought he would break through as a 10 for Exeter, but it didn't happen. So he had to rethink. He moved to 13, and it seemed to be a good move for his career. Well, it was a good move for his career, but essentially he is a 10 playing 13, hence why he doesn't quite have that outside pace, that big booming tackle. And we saw in this game he is still a very good 10. It's kind of a story how Alex Goode wanted to be a 10 for Saracens but couldn't break in, so moved to 15, and at international level just didn't quite have the pace for that position. So I see similar size to those stories. But anyway, the best attacking talent for Exeter Chiefs, even though he didn't get much of the ball in this game, was Emmanuel Fawebusu. Absolutely. He just breaks tackles, bounces off the ground, makes more yards, nearly made a couple of tries, so still impressive even though he didn't get a lot of the ball. I was watching the 12 super closely, but for Bath, Rigg for Exeter, they both carry the ball up very strongly. Didn't see much special anything else in this game anyway, but I think England are so desperate for centres, they could do with trying one of them. Will Butt, I think, is worth a crack. But anyway, Bath win ugly, but I feel they missed out there. They missed on the bonus point, probably because of the yellow cards. They will have to do a lot better to beat better opposition. Exeter looking very light. I mean, they could have even nicked this one, but they didn't play that great either. And they've got to do something. They've got to find something. Otherwise, they are going to lose out to Newcastle, and there's going to be this exciting playoff with the top of the Championship. But anyway, not a classic match to watch live, and I think the highlight of the game was the man wandering up and down the steps with his beers for his mates, just shouting, "Has anyone seen my friends?" as he couldn't find them. That was quite funny. But anyway, on to a better game, Sale versus Leicester. They scored 39 points against Leicester in tricky conditions. That was a really good home win. Leicester, some decent stuff at times, but I think they need to do more. I don't have it in for Leicester, as a few comments say. I'm just not overly inspired by the way they play. They can definitely win some good games. They've got some really good power there, but we need to see more that we do see from other teams in this league. Anyway, I think one of the big interesting things of this game was the propping battle. We had a Rod v Hayes, we had a Poco Fajora in there as well. It kind of went to Leicester to start with, and it went back to Sale as they came back into it. So that was quite an interesting one. But on 6 minutes, lovely into-out running line from Freddie Stewart. He can hit those big hard lines very nicely. Good pass from JVP. That leads to Ollie Hassel-Collins kind of butchering an easy finish. Not sure what he's doing. He needs just to go for the corner, but he kind of doesn't back himself and kind of trips himself up. So another strange decision. He's not getting back into the international fold, I'm afraid, because there's so many good wingers around. But Leicester go to the power game. Some big runners, not too much ingenuity, but it does the trick, and Nicky Smith squeezes over. So 0-5 there. Then we get the third scrum penalty. That takes it to 0-8 after 90 minutes, and they've got that Sale scrum in trouble, like I mentioned. It takes 20 minutes for Sale to get into the game. They go for the pull behind rather than the straight lines, which is quite nice to see. They get forward in the game quite a lot. They get Roebuck in the air whenever they can, and he does really well in this game, winning kicks. Disrupts Stewart on 20 minutes on a crossfield kick. Then Luke James, who made some really good breaks, off forward mainly. He gets some good metres, then there's an offload to Dan Dupree for the try, 5-8, and they're back in the game. Leicester getting a little bit better on 26 minutes, some more ambition as they run from deep this time, a couple of nice pull behinds. Ollie Hassel-Collins exposes Rob Dupree's weakness at 13, and that is his pace as he burns around the outside of him. And then we have a nice soft tip-on pass, that's actually spoiled by a double roll. That could have been another try for Leicester there, so shame there they spoiled that good opportunity, that good break from deep, which is nice to see. On 31 minutes, Sale score, but far too easily from a Tigers point of view, and they conceded some really soft tries, particularly off mauls or maul variations. Cowan-Dickie breaks off the maul. Every single Tigers forward is head down, not even looking. Happened a couple of times. That is a big coaching problem there. Anyway, he powers on and Bevan Rodd is quick to scoop up and pile over. They take the lead to Sale 12-10. Just before half-time, a long phase of attack for Leicester. Sale tackling away like men possessed. Parise takes his eyes off an easy pass and an unforced fumble. I mean, that midfield for Leicester, not particularly inventive. Some hard running for sure. You had Parise and Keita, but I think they needed a Kelly in there if they're going to move the ball a bit better. So that was another mucked-up opportunity for Leicester. Then finally, Apoko Fajura and Rodd get one back on Smith and Hayes, giving Sale the last attack of the half. And once again, that Leicester maul flies backwards. Ford slots James clean through once again. Ford definitely pulled the strings in this game. Probably a lot better than Pollard, to be honest. Keita over drifts. And then we have a second double roll penalty, though. They both could have scored before half-time. Anyway, it's 12-11 at half-time. Then Sale come out with a much improved attack. The ball's popping around all over the place. George Ford, the puppet master, putting a Apoko Fajura through a gap, then Carpenter through on the next play. They're really starting to cut it up. Then Speedman Reed is too quick for Stewart to get the cover tackle, and Ford playing with the defence. There's the try. It is 17-11, so great attack straight from the off. And Leicester start to compound with mistakes. A really short clearance kick from Freddie Stewart. And we go to that Sale maul once again. That pop off the back of the maul by Cowan-Dickie is so effective once again. Then a long pass from Ford works in Aaron Reed, catching Leicester very narrow. Stewart blitzes in. I think he's trying to stop the overlap because he's outnumbered, but he's just nowhere near anything, and it's just such an easy run in there. Then on 49 minutes, Roebuck disrupts Stewart once again, winning that high ball battle and a penalty. And Sale are right back in the Tigers 22. They just can't get anything going at the start of the second half. Again, the Tigers defence goes missing. This time it's the ruck defence, as Apoko Fajura says, thank you very much, spots a massive hole through the middle, and Burns clear to score. So great try for Apoko Fajura, but Tigers so slow to defend that ruck. 29-11. On 52 minutes, it's that man Roebuck again in the air, winning everything. More penalties follow. Leicester cannot stem this Sale momentum. Hales cops a yellow for a slight incident. A little unlucky, but it probably is a yellow these days. And Leicester racking up these penalties, gifting Sale maul attacks which they cannot defend. But then the sub Holloway seizes on a loose ball. I think it's a forced pass from Ben Curry, and they go the length of the pitch and score. So that's 29-18. So with 20 minutes to go, the game's back on. The Leicester resurgence comes as Pollard puts in a perfect crossfield kick to Liebenberg, who steamrollers over the little winger Reed. It looks like he's destined to score and get Leicester right back in this one, but Jean-Luc Dupree comes in and dislodges the ball, so massive play there. Then Sale do land that killer blow. Of course it's the maul once again. Cowan-Dickie breaking off the moment that Tommy Raffel engages them all. There's no one to defend it, and he just flies over completely unopposed. So really poor maul defence. That is a big problem there. 36-18. Leicester chasing the game, but too many knock-ons. Charlie Clare not straight in the line-out. Penalties. The game's done, to be honest. There is time for a try. Parise hits a big inside line. Really good pace. I mean, he's got great power and pace, that's for sure. To be fair, it's still really hard work for Leicester, but they do power over through a nice little tip-on pass. But 3 tries, not enough for a bonus point. They're not close enough for a bonus point, so they get nothing from the game. I would note at the end we saw the appearance of young England forward Ilioni. He was a star for the under-20s. Doesn't mean you're going to be a star in the senior game, but he's one to watch. Carries the ball very much like Tom Pearson. Anyway, that is it. 39-25 on that game. That is the standings as we see it. The West Country pairing of Bath and Bristol surging clear, looking really good, and the pairing of Newcastle and Exeter battling it out at the bottom. If you do want to pick up one of those testosterone tests for 45% off, use the link or use the code RugbyAnalyst45 on checkout. That would be cool as well. Anyway, guys, until next time, I will see you then.